Hello, welcome to Into Dorkness episode 4 slash 20.
20.
We're eventually getting to the merging point. Will it be at 500? Will it be at 200? Will it be at 25?
Tune in and find out.
Tune in to each of those episodes.
You can skip the ones in between.
Yeah, like nothing's gonna happen. Or at least just listen to the first parts and then be like, oh no.
Yeah, it's like the filler episodes of Lost. You know, it's
and
like
there were plenty.
There were plenty.
They're the Nikki and Paolos of Into Dorkness.
That was a rough one to sit through. That's the only episode I actively hated of that show.
It was too meta for its own good. Like, oh, like you guys want other stuff? Here you go. This is what you get this is what you want.
Are you sure this is what you want?
Are you sure? Because this is it. This is what you're asking for.
And the bummer of that episode is that there is an actual pretty significant character revelation for some other characters on the show that's important for understanding. You can't skip over it entirely because they buried a really important character turn in there.
I don't remember what that is.
Well,
I've seen Lost. I just
right.
And
well, for any of our listeners who, for some reason, are still stuck like halfway through season 3 of Lost, just skip a minute. It's the one where Sun finds out it was Charlie who bagged her over the head and dragged her through the weeds, pretending to be the others when Sawyer was running a long con to steal the guns. She finds, and that was when Charlie was going through his dark period where he was having visions and trying to baptize babies in his sleep. And
yeah, he was going through heroin withdrawal, right?
I mean, that was in season 2. So what? I forget. Somehow he loses Claire's trust for a while. I don't know. I need to watch it again, but maybe skip that one episode.
Maybe.
Anyway.
God or lover?
Okay. Bring it.
Now this is a themed edition of God or Lover.
Oh, okay.
All 3 of these songs are called love song. Or some variation of. There's the love song, a love song, lovey-dovey song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Just to be with you, I'd do anything. There's no price I would not pay. Just to be with you, I'd give anything. I would give my life away.
Lover.
That is God.
Son of a bitch, that's creepy.
That's Third Day, which is pretty well known. They're renowned
in a certain sect
in
of the world.
And a certain sect of music aficionados. It's Third Day. CCM artist Third Day.
That's a creepy thing to say. I mean, the giving your life away, fine, but like I would do anything for you. Like, well, I guess that's what God asks. Like, he's like, hey, sacrifice your kid.
It's like, all right.
I might change my mind at the last minute. I might not. You don't know.
That's a pretty dope story, though. It's a long payoff to go from Abraham and Isaac to Jesus, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's like, okay, you say you do anything, kill your kid, and he's like, and Abraham's like, well, all right. You gave me this name. You gave me this awesome name with an extra syllable.
Yeah, I used to just be Abram.
But, so let's do this. And I was just like, what are we doing, Dad? He's like, don't.
We're going for a walk.
We're going to go do this.
Why are you bringing your long knife?
Don't
Never
worry
know
about
what you're going to find on the mountain.
Okay? Like, maybe you have to cut something. Maybe you have to sacrifice something. What? Nothing. And so he goes up there, puts him on the altar, raises the knife, and God's like, whoa. All right.
You're
wow. Dude, wow. Like,
that is fucked up.
That's crazy.
You're like the Luca Brasi of my gang.
Like, you're in. In fact, since you were willing to do that, I guess I have to do the same.
Is that where God makes the decision?
Isn't it?
I mean, it depends on how you read the narrative of the Bible.
I thought that's where he was like, Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son. I should be willing to do the same.
I don't remember that. I mean, there is a parallel there, but
that's how I made the connection.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
I mean, it'd be weird, like, if you believe in God, the way I was taught is that God he exists outside of time, so he knows everything that's already going to happen. So he already knows that Jesus is going to happen, but he also knows that Abraham's going to do this, but he still has to exist in this moment with this person. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Don't believe in God, is what I'm saying.
It's completely illogical. Someone brought up a good point that, like, people try to, just like that, they're like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reasoning behind it. There's no logic behind it.
Right.
And just the construct of human logic and reasoning is minuscule compared to like the idea of God. So it would make sense that it would be illogical.
By even trying to use the word God, you're putting limits on what God could
exactly.
do. So,
exactly.
It's if there is a God, it's so much bigger than anything we're capable of understanding.
For lack of a better term, there's like a sect. There's a belief. There's a certain I think it's a certain sect of Judaism. I'm not sure, but like they don't write God when they don't write the word. They use like a dash instead of the O,
right?
Just to not limit that. But so you're wrong. So over one. So listen now to a love song. If you can hear it, we will never be apart.
Is that the whole thing?
That's the whole thing. Is that written to God or is that written to a lover?
Lover.
That is God.
Fucking goddamn it!
That is a band called Love Song, writing a song called A Love Song. It's Chuck Girard, who is like a pioneer of Jesus music.
Of stealing genres that are about 10 or 15 years out of date and sort of repurposing.
Well, this was like back in the day, like the 60s and 70s. Like this guy is
They're like, well, you got to take this Beatles thing and turn it to Jesus.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll tell you a love song, or I'll sing you a love song.
Now listen to a love song. If you can hear it, we will never be apart.
Why would God need to hear your love song to know that He'll never be apart from you? Like, you're dumb, Gerard.
It's Chuck Girard, man.
Chuck,
get
your shit together.
Chucky Girard. And finally, whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am home again. Whenever
That's The Cure.
That is a Cure love song. I wasn't sure if you would recognize it. Oh, I spilled a little soda.
That's okay.
Just a little bit of soda.
Hang on.
I wasn't sure if you'd recognize the
exquisite lyricism.
The Cure's magnum opus. Would you consider
their signature tune? Probably.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how big of a Cure fan you were. I'm a huge Cure fan.
I'm not huge, but I've got a CD of all the singles, like
the hits, the greatest hits.
Yeah.
You have the I purchased that, and unbeknownst to me, just because I wanted them all. Like I had like a lot of their CDs, but I wanted them all like on one disc.
Right.
This is before iPods really took hold.
You made an MP3 CD, a data CD.
Well, I bought the greatest hits. Excuse me, I bought the greatest hits, and it came with an acoustic CD.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, they just re-recorded them all acoustically. It was awesome.
Yeah, you had that in your car for a long time. No, I had the one before that was like the baby on the beach with the the ice cream cone. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Galore, I believe that was called.
Was it? Okay.
I believe so.
I'm not a huge fan, but the songs of theirs I like. I really, really like. So
they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're good stuff. So all right, 1 for 3, and only because you recognize one of the greatest pop songs of all time. Well, not one of the greatest pop songs. One of the most popular love songs of the 80s. One of the greatest pop songs, though, is Just Like Heaven.
Yeah, Just Like Heaven, I think, is my favorite Cure song.
That's a perfect pop song.
Yeah, you can't get any better than that. Don't even try. Try, but
don't
realize you're gonna fail.
Don't get upset when you fail.
Right. It's just like Christianity. You have to try to be like Jesus. You're gonna fail. It's okay.
It's cool. That's
you
kind of the
point. You shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you end up among the stars.
Yeah, I mean, at least you're in space.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you want to be in space?
Everyone wants to be in space.
Nobody doesn't want to be in space.
Speaking of space, we saw Man of Steel.
Yes, we did.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, let's do this.
So, Man of Steel.
Yes.
We did our Man of Steel minute last week.
Wink.
It's been out for about 10 days now.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it.
I don't think anybody here in the room liked it.
I loved it.
You're a liar.
You're a damn liar. You were laughing in the theater at the movie.
I went in with the lowest expectations of all of you guys, I think.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, did you go in with...
You thought the trailers looked good, though. You said at one point you were more excited for that than you were for Star Trek.
I mean,
after I saw Star Trek and I was like, okay, that was actually really good, then...
Were your expectations lowered by anything? Like the director? The fact that you watched Sucker Punch a few days beforehand?
Nolan would have had more of an influence. That was my only hope, was that because he was tied to it, the story would be good and connected to people and yada yada yada.
Since we as we talked about, I don't think we even mentioned it in Sucker Punch, but Zack Snyder has an incredible eye for painting pictures on screen.
Yeah.
What he doesn't have, and none of his films really have it, is a strong humanity or sense of drama. He's completely tone deaf as a dramatic director,
as well as a musical selector.
Yeah, the music he picked in Sucker Punch. I know we're talking about Man of Steel, but the music in that movie sucked across the board.
I like Bjork.
Yeah, the Bjork bit was cool.
Doesn't like Bjork?
Yeah, if you don't like Bjork,
that was the one.
I don't want to know you.
That was like the one song that wasn't altered or covered or like slowed down or anything because it's fucking Bjork. You don't need to do shit.
Yeah,
should have just gotten her to do the whole album.
Exactly.
Just press play on that shit. Then it would have been like Dancer in the Dark,
which I also love, but for different reasons.
So with Man of Steel, that was my big, like, the thing that I was riding on was Christopher Nolan's kind of shepherding this, so he'll make it so there has to be a human connection, because you can argue that his movies are very cerebral and everything, but I think that Batman Begins has a very great, especially Batman Begins, has a great emotional arc to it. Like, they do a really great job of making Bruce Wayne a person that you care about before Batman. It's like, this is a good movie that just happens to also be about Batman.
Like, you want to see this guy succeed.
Right, and it's also somebody who clearly cares about the people in the city where he lives. Like, for him, it's about protecting that city. Yeah. So there's also a clear connection to why he would want to be this person. And I don't think any of that really gets communicated in this movie.
Well, let's break down the movie, the plot. Superman is we get a bit of his origin story. We get
Krypton.
We get more of Krypton than we've seen on the big screen ever.
Yeah, and it's pretty fucking crazy. Like, just from a production design standpoint, it's pretty amazing, I think. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's crazy is the only way to describe it.
Giant flying bugs that they ride around on, and there's like, Devin Faraci mentioned this, in 15 minutes there's like an illegal birth, flying...
Like dragons almost.
Flying dragons, a coup d'etat, like a daring escape, and the destruction of the planet.
Yeah. We see, and...
Kal-El is born. That's how the movie opens, with him being born.
He's the first natural birth on Krypton in centuries. I guess hundreds of years ago, they decided, like, hey, we don't want...
Artificial population control went into effect.
We don't want babies ruining vaginas forever.
Right, we want that shit to stay tight.
All right. Like,
we also want a class system.
Yes, they have a caste system. It's almost like they're selecting their D&D characters.
And and they mention how, like, everyone is
soldier, worker.
Yeah, they're already, even before they're born, they're already like this is what you're gonna be.
Genetically engineered to be this. So if you're a scientist, I guess you've got a better brain.
And so Jor-El is like the big brain on Krypton. He's the head scientist.
Right.
He knows that Krypton is not long for this
world.
It's not long for itself. Zod also knows this, and but thinks that they both have their own.
Zod's a soldier.
Zod's a general. He's the main military dude.
He is the military leader of the Kryptonian forces. Jor-El's like the.
Is he a scientist or?
He's a scientist. Okay. Yeah.
And so Zod tries to take over by force. There's the big thing about the Codex, which are
DNA that every Kryptonian is pulled from, and it's based on this old skull.
That's what Zod wants because they see it.
He wants to take it off planet so they can start repopulating.
Yeah, it's the future of the Kryptonian race.
Right.
And so there's a big fight scene between Jor-El and Zod, which while it was happening, I was thinking, like, what's kind of fucking ridiculous that Jor-El, the scientist, is beating the shit out of Zod, the general. Yeah. But
Zod's a terrible soldier.
At the time, I thought I was being a little too nitpicky because I'm like, well, I'm basing this on, like,
5 minutes worth of information.
Well, I'm basing this on like what I've grown up with Jor-El being and Zod being,
right.
and this version and universe.
I was not enjoying the fight scene. That was kind of an indicator of what the rest of it was going to feel like because I just did not care.
See, I was more interested in the fights at the beginning than I was at the fights at the end.